priority pick up the primal. You're not rushing Ags first on his hero. You kind of want a little bit of utility on hand first to kind of play around the Ags afterwards. And that still gives a lot of breathing room for Dota2 compared to him rushing Ags and Voodoo Mets.
Yeah, it feels like there's going to be a lot of pressure on Analog to deal with this Bristol back this game. And I mean, you certainly have the tools for it. We'll see what does happen here for the side of Heroic and Gaimin, as they already have smoked up as 5 on the side of Heroic. Running right towards that bottom lane. Nobody going to be around here from Gaimin Gladiators. They are very... in fact, I say they're very well aware it's probably not worth the level 1 team fight, but they will smoke up as 5. Almost running right into Heroic. KJ's on the front line here at the Bane. They'll break the smoke on Celery. But it seems though Gaimin, not seeing the start they wanted, they will back their way out and they will not even try to initiate. Not yet.
Yeah, it does give a good position here for the side of Heroic. It felt like Gaimin could have done more. I mean, they had to watch her peeking out a little bit more. They didn't need to step as far forward, but they're under position. Play it safe. There's a lot of damage that can come out from Heroic in the early levels. Like, you don't necessarily, again, want to commit for Celery to help you get these early kills with, say, the Cask or the Maledict. You're probably looking at trying to get Voodoo Restoration. You're maybe expecting that lane to be a little bit rougher for the Roger in the first 2 levels. We'll see what they can get away with. Even Bounty Rune start here for both sides. Taking a little bit of a look at mid as the supports start to walk into their lanes. You've got Quinn on his sniper up against Analog on the Timbersaw. And this lane is not going to be fun for Analog at all. Like, you mentioned it earlier in the draft. You were talking about why you wouldn't want to Timbersaw mid. You don't want to have to go for reactive. He does go for the early point in Whirling Death to clear out the creep wave. But once Quinn hits, say, level 3, going for a 1-1-1, it doesn't feel like the best to be the Timbersaw in that case. At the very least, first 2 levels, you can still run down. You can play with that Whirling Death and apply some pressure onto the sniper before that point. But past that point, it's not a long enough lane for you to try to keep dancing around trees here for Analog.
I mean, important to note, though, Quinn did lose his Observer Ward. He had to deny it off as there was a sentry being placed by KJ. So you do have the kind of the option to gank mid with your supports if you do feel like it here from the side of Heroic, but we shall wait and see, as you would kind of be reliant on Schofield making that rotation, and he may not feel like he quite wants to, as we are looking at top lane. K1 and KJ, of course, going to be up against Tofu and Ace. It feels like one of those lanes here where I can't really see Ace die on the Omni. If anything, I can imagine the side of Gaming finding a couple kills themselves here.
Yeah, this is not the scariest lane for the Omni Knight to be in. There's no real kill threat here for KJ and Hector unless someone severely missteps. And it is a melee lane matchup for Ace. You can leverage that Purification, you can leverage the Hammer of Purity. There's really no counterplay here for KJ, unless you get something like Enfeeble, but you don't really want to pick that up in the laning phase to just mitigate the output. So it's just going to be a little bit more passive for sure for the side of Heroic, focusing on that farm. Key thing for Hector is he needs to find stable CS, right? We were talking, he needs to find as much farm as the Racho is in terms of creeps and just kind of keep that tempo up and then just play into the jungle at an equal state from the laning phase and then scale up from there. Because if you don't manage to match that initial lane that the Racho is getting out here, this Bristol timing, again, is going to be pretty devastating to play into.
Speaking of Duracho, he's going on to Devi Llama right now. Devi actually onslaughting right towards Celery. Devi is still alive, though Duracho might actually go for a bit of a dive here with the cool spray spam, and he might just have it as Devi salves up barely, but no. Duracho does secure first blood. Devi Llama really trying to play on the edge there, playing maybe a little bit greedy with that onslaught, and he does get punished for it.
And this is high-end Bristleback gameplay. Run down lane, press W. No care in the world. You have W as well on Celery and just heals. No mana, no cares. You can't fully commit here for Devi. And again, this is the concern. With how much Duracho can get out of his lane, you have to have a smoother start for Hector. And in the Omni Knight matchup, it's just not going to be the case. Like, Duracho will have that strong start, and it's just mildly concerning. Hector is going to have to farm his heart out after this laning phase and just hit those key timings that he wants.
That he will. On the bright side, mid lane's going pretty well here for Heroic. Analog top of the CS board right now, staying pretty on par with Quinn, who is only 1 CS behind the Timber. Meanwhile, top lane, they are going to channel up a stun here on K1. Tofu will take the brunt of the stun, but won't mind too much as Ace is going to be there to cut them off just in case they require it. And even if you did want to try and chase for the kill, of course, Ace does have that level 2 purification ready whenever. So chances are you can't really kill the Hoodwink in this lane. Going back to that mid lane, John, again, Analog is having a pretty good time. Yeah, we kind of expected a bit more of a challenging time for the Timbersaw, but it really hasn't been the case.
Yeah, it's a fine lane for Analog so far. He's not being held back too badly by Quinn. At the same time, he's not able to really pressure Quinn. So the sniper is still finding some good farm. He's not as reliant as well. Analog has to have that bottle to just sustain that lane. You really don't need that on a sniper. And I believe you do have the second rate ban coming out for Quinn, which is when the fun truly begins for the sniper anyhow. So this is when the damage starts to really pile on. And Analog has to be a little bit concerned. Again, he does have that value point in reactive, so it's not as easy for Quinn to run down, but still in a very comfy part in the sense that the Timbersaw can't just camp mid and try to run down the tower, especially considering your side lanes. Again, you can't expect Schofield to leave the Vi alone, considering how strong Duracho is. And you can't really leave Hector alone, considering how hard his lane is. So you are stuck in a vacuum mid, and it feels like if this Timbersaw can't use that vacuum in mid to just shove in and get a solo kill, you're still happy on Quinn, on the sniper.
Oh, you absolutely are. Looking back up top, K1 already struggling, needing to leave the lane. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Davailama again onslaughting straight south to try and avoid the gank that was incoming. Duracho and Celery really applying so much pressure as they find the courier of Davailama. Ring of Protection and the healing salve was on that courier. So things are getting even tougher down at this bottom lane as it just feels like there's no stopping Duracho and Celery. Just the constant heals coming in onto this Bristleback makes it impossible to even chip away at him. As now Schofield sticking around a little bit out of position, may just go down. Tofu should have the lockdown to boot to help out as he will miss the bushwhack. It doesn't matter though. But they've got Analog here now, so perhaps Duracho going a bit too far. Does look to run north and try to avoid this gank, but he is trapped up. Still running towards the Davailama. He'll juke out the chains of Analog. Analog on the chase though with the Chakram. He will connect. The Whirling Death will make short work of the Bristle. And so Analog punishing the aggression here from Gaimin Gladiators.
Again, a very deep dive coming out from Gaimin, but that is what you'd expect when you are playing Bristle. You kind of want to leverage it and really get that early advantage, start to snowball hard. They do manage to at least equal out that on Heroic. Still, Gaimin, you get free space out for Quinn. He's not the target of that initial jump. He's still free to do what he wants on the sniper mid, and he is just really farming up, which is it's still a happy state. Ace is still dealing with a solo Alchemist, and Hector can't really stop his harassment.
Bushwhack's going to land on the K1. They aren't going to go for the dive in. But as you are saying, the Alchemist really cannot lane any longer. It is all about the jungle now for the Arc.
He has to dip in there. Or at least KJ trying to go for the snipe on the Wisdom. Instead just catches out Tofu. Might be able to secure this, but only has the level 1 Brain Staff.
Ace picks up the Wisdom Rune anyways for K1. Basically just set to die. Does try to get some damage off onto Tofu, but really can only hope for a deny on the neutrals now. Give it a crack, but it is not going to work out. Ace will be able to secure the kill, no problem, but I guess at least KJ got a courier for his trouble there. It is something.
It is something, you know. Yeah, you'll take anything you can get right now. And, you know, you are buying some free space for Hector to not get jumped behind his tier 1. So your Alchemist is farming up, slow and steady into that Radiance. You are hitting some good spikes on Analog, top net worth for the side of Heroic right now, right behind Duracho's farm. Going straight for the Kaya, going for that full-on nuking experience. So he will have a lot of output. He already has a lot of output without that, and should make short work of something like, say, Duracho or Quinn, if he does manage to get into that position to burst down these heroes. Do manage to grab themselves the amplified damage rune as well on Analog. They're cutting off some play here on Gaimin. For Gaimin's part, it doesn't feel like they need to group up though, right? Like they're happy enough to just hold lanes like this, keep farming, maybe pressure in a tower. Duracho?
Trying to Duracho, but you just don't have the damage output right now with the Davailama. He's nowhere near leveled enough to really to make those kind of plays happen quite yet. At the very least, does force Duracho out of the lane for a little bit so he can farm himself on the creep wave. As We are going to see some rotations being made towards the top lane. Celery will rotate on the Witch Doctor now, perhaps looking for K1. K1 farming just north of the T1 tower, may get caught with his pants down. So the cask will land. Tofu will get some vision down, but they will leave K1. The Chemical Rage was still going, so they weren't quite confident in taking him down, as now Analog will rotate onto Ace. But Ace does have the repel and casually just walks away.
And they can still try here.
They certainly can. K1, he has no Chemical Rage left. And with the Melodict, it is looking like he's just gone, as Quinn does rotate for the Assassinate to boot. Nothing K1 can do about it.
No. Really good patience out from the side of Gaimin. Just, they see the Alk, they know that he's still running with a Chemical Rage. Just wait it out, plant a cheeky ward, snipe him again afterwards on the respawn, and just start hunting in that top area. This is the area where Heroic will need to try to play that catch-up for Hector. You know, we're playing an Alchemist game here for Heroic, and your Alchemist is not #1 in that word. It's not that far behind, mind you, and being fair here, you're not lagging behind too badly on Hector, but again, you're an Alchemist. You need an item advantage. You're going to hit these spikes out on Deracho. He's still lined up for a really good Ags timing into that Voodoo Mask, into Bloodstone. You don't have any easy answers for that just yet. And once you kind of start dragging people together here on the side of Gaimin, again, with the saves you have, Repel alone is going to be enough to kind of make it painful for you to look for that burst play, because you are reliant really on Analog to try to focus down that Bristleback right now. Like, we're not even considering breaks, just raw damage output. It is down to the Timbersaw, as you mentioned earlier on, but one little spell from Ace and that can fall flat.
Does make it really hard. So far, 3-1 with a 1k advantage the way of Gaimin. And the main storyline right now is the fact that K1 is just unable to get some farm going here on the Alchemist, which, I mean, you are so reliant on K1 having a decent game. As we are going to have another pause coming out now from K1. Looks like he does not want to unpause. But yeah, I mean, this arc has had a horrific start. It's going to be a bit of a slow process to get towards that Radiance build-up that he's looking for. And of course, Alchemist isn't necessarily known as a meta hero right now either. So you kind of wanted an amazing start here in the laning stage, but you just don't get it. He'll TP back to the T1 as well. This is dangerous. K1, they're still there, sir. He'll get stunned up. He has the Chemical Rage this time around, and the TPs are immediate to ensure that K1 does not die again. They'll go for the chase onto Ace, but the repel, it's rather hard to take the man out. Still, they will Nightmare him up. And eventually Ace should be going down on the Omni. And he will. But that does cost you 5 heroes to make that happen.
Yeah, it's really costly just to find that kill. Again, you're getting a lot of free room out to Deracho to just keep playing bot, playing the camps into the waves, accelerate this Ags timing. They do need to relieve that pressure, though, on Hector. They will get a little bit of a dive going, though.
Yeah, they found Tofu here on the Hoodwink. Tofu's still actually alive for now, trying to get his way out, but does go down. Deracho, he'll rotate as well, but there's just too many heroes, and the nice Nightmare not going to allow them to chase, as Deracho immediately will get tipped by Divine Llama for the TP.
Yeah, he didn't quite need to join in. A really nice power rune pickup there from Analog to just allow him to keep that chase as well and disengage. Does have that Kaya spike that we were talking about on the Timbersaw, so he can just melt some of these softer targets down. That is the one thing that Gaimin will have to watch out for. We were talking about Repel. You can only save one, and that will put Ace in the firing line if these fights do boil out that way. So you have to respect this spike from Heroic. You have to respect that spike. At the same time, you can't allow Hector to just sit here and farm. And he's still in a reasonable position for net worth. Still set to ramp up. Radiance is only about 1.5k gold away, not that far for the Alchemist. And once that's up, we all know how Hector loves to farm. It's just going to go that much quicker here for the Alchemist.
Yeah, I mean, he's suddenly top of the net worth board, which is great news if you are Heroic. It's like mid lane, a bit of a Cursed Crown coming out, not going to amount to much, though. Top lane, KJ taking a fair bit of damage out from Quinn, but Quinn nowhere near farmed enough yet to be that huge threat on the sniper.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
It will at least force Heroic away, but Heroic very happy to just see K1 hitting creeps in the jungle right now, as well, Analog's going to smoke up. Him and Schofield, they'll rotate into the mid lane, maybe looking towards Tofu. Tofu is going to retreat just in time, and it seems though Heroic, the most they're going to get out of this smoke is probably just that Arcane Rune. Though I say that Tofu is being baited by that Arcane Rune, and never mind. They will be patient, and the patience will pay off.
Yeah, again, just feeding off these support kills is pretty nice. It's going to the right hero, to your tempo setter in the Timbersaw. Analog, Blink Dagger not too far out. That's when these fights start to really open up for the side of Heroic. Get that gap closing onto these save heroes. Start to isolate something like, say, the Sniper. And helps you just, again, buy space out for the Alchemist to keep that farm game up. So, good pickoffs for Heroic. 3-4, 1k lead coming out. Analog and Hacker having a great time in this game so far. Only real hero that's hurting is Divide Llama on that Primal Beast. But Primal Beast doesn't need too much farm, to be fair. You hit Blade Mail, you hit BKB, and you're fairly happy on Divide. You would still love an Ags, but it's a little bit of a bonus. If you can take care of everyone else and ignore the Bristleback, you don't need to concern yourself with any break. If you can just take the team fight win, then that's the little Bristle, just ignore it, go back, play objectives. That can be the name of the game here for Heroic.
We'll see if they can actually ignore the Bristol in these fights. Could be easier said than done here, but we shall see as the Ags is indeed on the way for Dyrachio. But you do now have the Radiance up as well for K1, so his farm will escalate quite a bit to boot. So he can join these team fights now and at least assist as the Alchemist if he wants to, but chances are he's just going to farm for a while. A lot of stacks to be taken here by the Alch. And this is that kind of moment where you start to think about getting a little bit concerned if you are Gaimin, right? Because K1 has completely recovered at this point. Not exactly what you wanted to see after a great laning stage against the Arc, but I mean, it is what it is. They've got the space for K1.
Yeah, the map is just so damn big. And they had the right idea in just warding up the top lane, but there's still so many jungle camps to go for. A little bit of smoke out with Quinn and Tofu. And they do have some long-range shots to fire with the Assassin and the Sharpshooter, but it is a little bit risky having these two squishy heroes try to hunt, and they will just go back to the farm game. There is the Blink Dagger up now in Analog, though, so they can try to play now on the side of Heroic. Starting to set up down bot, could look for the push in as well. We'll trade away top. There's a chance for Gaimin to defend. I mean, they've got level 6 on Witch Doctor. Celery does have the Death Ward. They've got the maxed out cast as well for teamfight control. Could try, but doesn't seem like a high priority right now. They understand these spikes. They know that Heroic really needs to amp it up now with Analog, so just avoid and farm.
Oh, with the blink up, he certainly has a lot of burst potential. Still looking for a fight. Analog will TP up towards the top lane where KJ is trying to set up onto Celery. Oh, he does get in range for the Nightmare. Gets the Witch Doctor. Of course, there's not really anything Celery can do to survive that. Analog will find himself a 5th kill now on the Timber. A mega kill streak for him. He's going, again, rather well. I mean, with the blink up, you can certainly see Analog is desperate to find some fights for himself. I mean, why the hell not? It just feels like he can burst literally anyone he wants.
Yeah, he certainly can. Again, this is that big spike for the Timbersaw. Maxed out Whirling Dash, maxed out Chain with a Blink and Kaya. A lot of output to play with here for the side of Heroic. 4k lead coming out now. A ton of room out for Hector to maximize this Radiance with the Blink. Going for the Manta into the AC. I mean, you do have these big spikes for Gaimin themselves. Again, they've got the Ags plus Voodoo Mask up now on Dyrachio. So the Bristle can stand front and do the damage you need to do. Start to play with the Bristle back active and just regen up. We haven't seen Gaimin be willing to connect all of those dots yet, though. Like, they still need a little bit more farm on Quinn. He's going to try to finish up the Mjolnir. We're getting some mice advice on our chat now as well.
Yeah.
Just to fix some lag.
Yeah, sometimes better just to plug it in, you know? Sometimes it's better to plug the damn thing in. Forget the wireless. I don't think it's going to affect Defias Llama's gameplay at all.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I am a firm believer in wired mice, Mike.
That's fair. I have a wireless mic right now, John. It's proving to be very nice. I haven't had too many issues.
Yeah, but, you know, charging it, battery lifespan, I just plug it in and forget, you know?
I was pleasantly surprised at how long these damn things last. Like, these things last a long time before you have to charge them.
Not for these pro players, Mike.
Well, they need their player managers to, you know, to do that work, right? They just plug in the mice, make sure everything's charged. We saw that at Talon as well. Talon had the same thing. They just have to charge everything for these players because they don't want to do anything but play.
Yeah, that's what they're paid to do. Just play. Nothing else around play. Literally just play. And we will get back to that play now. As we are back into this game number 1. Again, you've got the big item spikes lined up for both sides. It is a bigger spike for Heroic, I have to say, especially with Eternal Shroud analogs building into. A lot of protection from some of the debuffs that the side of Gaimin will try to leverage, like say the Maldic. It's not going to feel as great to try to burst down the Timbersaw. Not that it's particularly amazing to try to burst that hero right now anyhow. I think the one thing for Heroic down the line as well, if we're going to be talking about, say, a later point in the game, you know, if this game does drag past, say, 45, 50, you do have some pretty big ags to give out for free once you're fully slotted up in Hector.
Schofield.
3 Dark Roll, Schofield.
Could be a little bit dangerous because Schofield is pretty far. Trying for a TP, but no, Tarachia just destroys him with the bristle back. What can you do? You can't really just TP out in front of a bristle like that. Yeah, he was very, very deep down to that bottom lane trying to get some farm going. And speaking of deep, so is Divine Llama right now. Divine also sticking around for some farm by that jungle, but he was underneath vision. Tofu on the chase, Tarachia will do the same, though they have lost vision of Divine Llama now. And Divine, he'll have another onslaught in 1 second, so he'll be okay. No catch in the prime.
Yep, does manage to bail out. A little bit unfortunate for that guess of Tofu. Doesn't manage to connect in the right side. Guess is wrong. And Divine is fine. He's still hanging around the area, but he's pretty confident with a blade mail that he can dish some damage back. Nope. See if he really can, though.
He's going to jump in. Divine already losing half his HP, but does pop the uproar as now K1's going to TP. K1 did not have the blink off cooldown, so couldn't quite close the gap as he would have liked. But I suppose as long as your Primal Beast survives, you're going to be more than happy as now. A big group up, a 4-man smoke from Gaimin to boot. It seems as though they want to try and fight this. Gaimin, I'm not sure if it's the idea here against K1. The Alchemist does seem relatively strong at the moment, but oh, K1, he's alone now.
He's alone?
He is alone.
Oh.
Can they... Oh, he shows underneath the creep wave. Do they know he's alone? K1, he'll blink towards the west. Run, sir. It's not safe. He'll mantra and run. Looks like he should be okay. He is now back by his team.
That's so ballsy of Hector. It's a very Hector play, but good God. If they were just a little bit quicker in the uptake there in Gaimin, and again, if they managed to guess right for that movement, that would have not been a very pleasant experience for Heroic. But it does work out. They waste some of Gaimin's time. It's time where they're not really farming on these cores. They're not working the map, losing out on a lot of efficiency, where Heroic can just, again, they've got the Alk. He's still clearing out waves. He was clearing out camps. He's in a very handy position right now for Hector, going for the AC into the BKB. It does feel like Gaimin haven't been able to capitalize on the early timings you do have with the Ratio. I feel like they want to go for a slower pace here. They do have a lot of sustain again lined up, full mech up now on Celery. He has opted for more levels in the Maldic rather than the Voodoo as well, so looking for the damage for the team. Tofu.
We get caught here by K1. Try and run with the Scurry. Actually, he's a bit of a sneaky squirrel, but it probably is not going to matter as the Cursed Crown will stun him up, and Schofield will be the one to take the kill. Another nicely easy pick-off. It seems like Ace now getting caught out top lane. KJ just going to go right for the Fiend's Grip, and with the analog around, you are not going to escape. It does not seem like, as Ace going to die to KJ. KJ will tip analog straight away, letting him know he did take that kill.
It did look like Analog was lining up to secure it, but you know, the support does get what he deserves for setting up now. Yeah, you should.
Next time, Analog.
4 to 7. Yeah, definitely so. You've got the damage. 4 to 7, 8k lead. Heroic in a very strong position now. Again, they've hit all their big power spikes. Eternal Shroud up on Analog. No easy burst solutions for the Timbersaw. Doesn't feel like the Racho is ready to fully play with his team, and he's been trying. Big issue for Gaimin is it feels like catch isn't quite there. You've got Paralyzing Cask and Bushwhack. Not the quickest stuns in comparison to, say, a Nightmare Grip or even just a jump in with Pulverize on Heroic. It does feel like, at least in terms of looking for these pickoffs, it is a lot easier for Heroic to just pin someone down in comparison to how Gaimin have to play all these skirmishes right now. Mind you, you are coming into the Sniper Mjolnir spike, so Quinn's output's going to skyrocket every single time he presses E with the take aim. But again, you've got the jump solutions from the side of Heroic. Widow's blinks up. It's not the safest for Quinn to even bother showing up with his DPS. Duracho looking to clear out the Tormentor. Will find it for the team. Free shard for Celery is pretty massive with that little voodoo switcheroo. So a little bit more play for Gaimin. But again, not willing to really go too far out. They are just ceding a lot of the map over to Heroic. And this Alk is growing bigger and bigger. I mean, to be fair, it is all being funneled only onto Hector with the AC flying out now. Like, the farm distribution isn't clean, but that is how an Alchemist game tends to go for the team with the Alk. It's all about just using the Alchemist item advantage at that point, and it does feel like Heroic should be able to do so relatively soon.
I just wonder how concerned Heroic are about the timing, right? Because you obviously want the BKB on K1 before you really start to press the advantage. Well, they're going to try for Roshan now. But you consider how much farm Duracio's had on the Bristleback, and although he is very far behind the Alchemist, it's still a Bristleback who can just delete you with one good Bristleback. So it's a little bit scary, I think. I mean, Heroic are still hitting their timings very, very well. Obviously, again, once K1 does have the BKB up, I'm sure he's going to be more than willing to just go at it with Gaimin Gladiators. But is it going to be too late by then is my question. I suppose we'll have to wait and see, because there is a fight about to break out. Gaimin, they will move in with the smoke. Duraccio already frontlining for his side, trying to find himself a target. Cannot quite burst down the Dark Willow. Schofield going to be fine to back his way out, as they will Nightmare the Bristleback. And it seems as though that's going to be about it. Gaimin, they'll leave it at that. So will Heroic. Or do they? I mean, K1's still farming. He's still here, John. But they won't be able to lock him down. He's fine.
Yes, again, it's a little bit of a reach issue for the side of Gaimin. You don't really have anyone with like a really strong blink initiation. Ace does have a blink, but it's not as threatening with hold. Although
they jump in now. They're going to try after Ace. K1 basically going in on his own. Duraccio, they look at the damage.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's what you worry about. He will lose the Aegis. Now looking to set up once again. Duraccio moving right onto the Alchemist, who does cop the Sharpshooter, but it looks like he's going to walk away for now. Schofield in the meantime does go down. Devi at least able to find KJ, and Ace going down to boot on the Omni to Analog. Devi Llama, though, copping a lot of damage here with this Voodoo Switcheroo. Analog jumping in again, though. Just the Timbers were absolutely annihilating the backside of Gaimin Gladiators. Analog now dropping low, does get himself out as Devi Llama will drop. Meanwhile, Tofu does go down to boot. Here comes Duraccio again with the Bristleback, taking down Schofield. And K1 is still trying to get out of it. Looks like the Alchemist will be just fine, but this is kind of what I was saying, John. It's a 3-for-4 trade. A dieback on Schofield. The game and ultimately win out the team fight.
Yeah, they go a little bit crazy. It's rather unfortunate. KG's grip was while Duraccio was facing away. So had the Bristleback running, just forced to cancel because that was really doing nothing in that team fight. And it's just the positioning out from Heroic that kind of cost them. You were in a good position for Gaimin to follow through. They didn't even pop the death ward, I don't believe. It was just a switcheroo coming out from Celery. So that tool is still available as well for any follow-up fights. And you can commit quite far in with Analog and with Hector. But without that BKB on Hector, it's like you said, a little bit of sitting duck. And, I mean, you don't have a break for Duraccio yet, right? Like, again, that's kind of on the Vi Llama for an Ags timing, which he's had a slow game. You know, his lane was a little bit slower than you'd like it to be for Crown Beast as well. So the Ags timing is not going to be too quick. We'll see if he can feed off some kills. Celery's on the wrong side of the map again.
Sure is, but it seems like he actually goes unnoticed. Celery going to be able to just hide in the tree line and does actually make it out. Nobody will check. You saw in that last engagement as well, Divine Llama not looking too happy after the fight and looking quite stressed actually. Yeah, you can't quite blame. It just fights like that do not spell good news if you are heroic with a draft like this. They are now going to have that BKB up on the Arc, and of course they are going to go back for a Strength Blink and start the Aghanim Scepter build up here for K1. But again, I have my questions. Against the Bristleback, it's not going to be that easy of a game for the Arc any longer. It just seems like as time goes on, things are going to get more and more challenging for Heroic with this style of draft.
Tower is under attack.
Duraccio, he's getting huge. You know, he's becoming a real problem now. They are going to see KJ.
Yeah.
Poor old KJ doesn't really have any kind of play here. Actually went for a Fiend's Grip on Tofu. They're going to try and turn here with Schofield showing up. KJ, though, has officially died now. And Schofield, well, he'll try to get his way out, but chances are he is just as good as dead. And there you go. Duraccio having a bit of fun.
All of Gaimin's having some fun. You know, the good old Omni Knight Shard with the Phylactery into the Conda up now. Ace is just going to burst heroes down. This feels like a very delayed turbo game from the side of Gaimin Gladiators, not gonna lie. This is pretty much what you see in some, if you queue up a turbo match, this is exactly what you'd see in most of your games. And, well, they're having fun in Gaimin. And they're still 5k behind. They'll catch Celery out.
I mean, they will. Celery does go down, but it's just your business to survive. Witch Doctor dying again. K1 was forced to actually pop the BKB for that kill attempt, and well, that could spell a bit of an opening for Gaimin if they really want to try and abuse the BKB being down, but it doesn't seem like they really care for it. They're just back to the farm game, back to just building up Duraccio on the Bristle. He'll go for an Octarine core up next, and things will just get more and more challenging. The cooldown's getting lower and lower here for Duraccio. Now K1 barely avoiding the bushwhack from Tofu. Very nice man to dodge. But you can feel the fear right now from Heroic. They've only got a 5k advantage, and again, that is all on the Arc.
Yeah, but I like what Hector's already queuing up for. And after the overwhelming blink, he's going for the Ags. He's going to start gifting them away. Divide is already 2 parts in, so probably not going to Divide, but perhaps a cheeky Ags out for Analog with a barrier. That's something that the Bristleback, it'll take a little bit more time for him to try to burst down. That Thermostat at this point. You can give it out again to Schofield, who does not have attack speed, unfortunately, but it's a scaling option on the supports here for Heroic. Again, if this game just kind of drags on and the high ground starts to become a question neither side can have good answers for. Still Gaimin on the hunt with a smoke here, using the Racho up front, but no one will bite that bait. No one will fall for, oh, Bristleback is alone, let's go catch him out. No.
Well, here we go. Rush in from Ace. He's going to find KJ. Oh my god, KJ! Just annihilated with the Kanda build up of Ace. That is not fun. That is not fun at all.
No. That is it's a classic certified Omni Knight moment right there.
Yeah. A great one at that.
Don't you love it when you play up against this stuff? I mean, Ace is doing a fantastic job, of course. He worked his lane really well. He was allowed to get this farm up. He was given enough room to hit this critical mass on the Omni Knight, but it's going to be an issue for the backline of Heroic. They will lose a tier 2 tower. Gaimin just putting the bodies up front. Octarine for Duraccio, only 400 gold away. We've got a BKB to protect Quinn now. Going into the Force Staff, already has the concussive grenade as well for some space creation. And game is still rather even, 11-11. 4k lead for Heroic at 29 minutes in is not great when you have an Alchemist. This is not the best piece of news for Heroic. Again, it's only Hector getting that farm. Analog and the Vi aren't too far off, but there's a certain point where their scaling isn't really there. And you've kind of started to hit that point on Analog. The Vi will have more presence out. Ags flying out now, so he has a break option. Will that break be enough to deal with Duraccio? We'll have to see.
It doesn't really feel like it right now. It's K1. Oh, that's brilliant. Here comes Duraccio on Onslaugh's going to be in. They're going to try for the fight here. Heroic doing a lot of damage already to Tofu. Dyrachyo dropping quite low himself on the Bristleback. They'll try to smash him up with the Primal Beast. Dyrachyo, he's going to try and heal up through it. They'll lock him down with the Fiend's Grip. The Bloodstone about to wear off as well. Even Nightmaring up the Bristleback. He's the only one left. And that's the way to play it. Just lock down the Bristleback indefinitely. Do not allow him to do what he wants to do. And everybody else will just fall with him.
Yeah, they were way too clumped up on Gaimin's end as well, converging right around, trying to play around with this vision area that they set up right before that fight breaks out, but too close together. Like, there's a lot of AoE damage coming out there from Analog. There's a lot of control from the Vi with that Onslaught and Trample in. And it's just the ideal circumstance for Heroic to get things going. Really great Ags reveal out from the Vi. And just great staggered spell use. Once you take away the save in that Omni Knight, you don't have much to worry about in terms of trying to isolate this Bristle. And again, you ignore Bristle until the end. Just keep him nightmared and gripped up, kill everyone else off, and you have a fantastic time here for Heroics. So 12 to 16, 13k lead swinging back for Heroics, and starting to set up for Roshan as well. They do have some good forward wards here set up to protect that area. Side of Gaimin, starting to feel like they need more items up, more defensive items to really aid Dyrachyo. You have a Lotus being built up by Celery, maybe even a Linken's to pop onto him as well, just to ensure that the grip won't just instantly go on him, or even just the Nightmare. Just anything to help out and let that Bristle actually play with the actives. Roche, not gonna take too long, and Gaimin, again, just not in position to contest, so another freebie coming out for Heroic. They're gonna need to start digging for more though with the Aegis. Like, you can't afford to keep going back and making this a farming Aegis for any longer. Let's see if they can find some objectives or pickoffs to lead into those objectives now as well. They are starting to get into that first Ags from Hector. Still curious who they gift it to. It should probably just be KJ. Get the free Ags upgraded Fiend's Grip for yourself. Easier time to get that single target hold. No great AoE stunts outside of the Bushwhack here for the side of Gaimin. I guess Paralyzing Cast is nice, but it's way too RNG. Sometimes it bounces between two, like the main and one illusion still channeling away, and you still get what you want there.
Yes, but for me, it's always the cooldown, a reduction on the Fiend's Grip with the Ags up that really makes it so much better. So it just feels like every single engagement you have that Fiend's Grip back up. And it makes it just so nice if you do have the Axe Blessing to come from K1. But we'll see who he does hand it to.
It's there. He got it. Yeah.
Oh, he's
KJ.
got it. Very good.
Yeah, he's got the grip.
I mean, it obviously is going to be very hard to cancel nonetheless with the two illusions, but the cooldown,
I love Hector.
it makes me so happy.
Yeah, it's a great cooldown reduction. I love that Hector's going for another Ags. See who he hands that over to. Again, probably Analog, but would love to see it in Schofield for like a longer game, but they're not going to be anticipating that on Heroics end. See if a smoke lines up. Again, one pickoff could lead into a fast siege here.
They are rushing. Oh, can they get Dyrachyo? Dyrachyo's going to try and take the Tormentor, but they run right into Dyrachyo, and he is as good as gone. Oh boy, Heroic. Really starting to look strong now in this game one. Finding their stride, 33 minutes into the game. Can they go high ground is going to be the question, of course. They are playing against the sniper, but we'll have to wait and see. For now, great news all around for Heroic.
Radiant's middle tower is under
I don't think there's much to be scared of once you take away the Bristleback in the equation. Again, there is still a pretty big threat with, say, a good cast Maldic into a good Death Ward positioning here from Celery, but it's easier said than done. And Hector alone already ripped through that tier 3 down to 293 HP.
Radiant's middle
Can just
tower
easily clean up. We'll play it safe. Not too crazy here on Hector, but the damage has been done. Gaimin, have to be so careful. They need some protection up on Dyrachyo. His items have stalled out since the Octarine. Almost, maybe even regrets the Octarine over to BKB first here. Oh,
I'm not going to jump in again. They're going to find Celery. Celery okay for now, thanks to the save of the Omni, but Tofu is not. Tofu is gone. K1 actually taking a lot of damage from that initial Hammer of Purity from Ace, but it doesn't really matter. You just don't have the follow-up. You just don't have the damage right now to deal with K1. Not without Dyrachyo around, but you do have some backdoor protection, which is going to be quite nice, at least for a little bit. And K1 looking to finish off that melee barracks. Will be able to secure nicely. Dyrachyo now respawning, but Heroic immediately looking to retreat. Not risking anything, even with the Aegis up for another minute 45. They could still just go for that top tier 2 tower, and they could still perhaps think about trying for high ground again, or they could just leave it and wait for the next Aegis.
They've got the map under their control. Probably look at the tier 2 at the very least here on the side of Heroic, just to open up the map a little bit more, keep compressing the side of Gaimin. Gaimin, though, trying to sneak out with the smoke. Again, the reach is the one big issue for Gaimin in comparison. Like, it's just a little bit harder to close in outside of, like, Ace again going for the burst play. Heroic have managed to back off, but maybe catch a straggler or two out. There's our secondary Ags from K1. He will hand it actually to Devi. So Devi ended up, what did he do with his parts? He bought out like 2-3 parts a while ago and just sold them at a loss, perhaps. Still has a freebie. Still nice.
Certainly is. So he's just going to go for a Sergeant Kyra anyway, so perhaps that's what the parts are being used for. Two Ags upgrades here for K1 means he does get that plus 50 damage and a 10% spell amp on the Alchemist, which is always quite nice as well. Just that little bit of damage never hurts. Or top lane, Ace could get spotted here. Was underneath an observer ward, so KJ is having a bit of a look around for the Omni, but obviously can't go by himself because we've seen how fast Ace can just blow him up with those hammers. So they are going to try. KJ waiting for his teammates, will move in with a Nightmare onto Tofu, but he wants the Fiend's Grip on the Omni. Ace is going for a run, repel out, and the TP away, and KJ will be unable to catch him. So instead, they will just take Tofu's life away. Still a nice little bit. Oh, K1. K1 is trying to push by himself here. They'll try to blow him up, but he's all right. K1 feeling a little bit ballsy.
Yeah, Hector's a madman. It does force the mass response out from Gaimin. That does open up the rest of the map for the side of Heroic to just play it, farm up, get that build-up they'd want. Already, again, having that Sight of Vice on Analog for some more openings, a full heart up on Devi, just to sustain the front line. Going for his own Bloodstone with a Kaya Sanj, which is pretty great if you can just keep running people down, which it does feel like Devi has no problem. Again, it's a hold issue for Gaimin. With all of this debuff immunity up, they can't really pin any of their targets down. And they don't have many defensive items up. Like, yes, you have this early BKB on Quinn. It hasn't felt that necessary for Quinn almost. It feels like you need it more, say, on Ace and on Dyrachyo, along with some single target blocks like a Linken's or Lotus, which you don't quite have yet on the side of Gaimin. So Heroic, again, just playing their cards right, playing around the single target control. This stronger team fight almost in terms of isolating and forcing them in one by one on Gaimin's end. Another Ags out from Hector, who is our... Oh, they actually... Oh, no. Okay, it looked like it was going to hand it over to Schofield, but it is Analog with a barrier. So another issue with how fast that reactive armor barrier stays up. Bristle trying to burst him, it's going to be as scary until quite a fair few stacks have been made with that Quill.
Yeah, but you're just going to basically return all the damage back with Analog now, and things could get rather tough here for Gaimin, as they do now have a BKB up on Dyrachyo at the very least, so he can feel a little bit safer in the middle of these team fights. I don't see any Linken Spheres or Lotus Orbs up yet to try and negate the Fiend's Grip being thrown out here by our Bane. It's kind of the thing, like, okay, you avoid Nightmare now with the BKB, but Fiend's Grip is still going to lock you down for quite a while in the middle of these fights, as they are actually going in the mid lane. A pretty big terrorize out onto 3 targets. Dyrachyo being targeted already. He's lost half his HP pool. They'll go after Ace on the Omni, try to blow him up. Ace, though, surviving for now as the Fiend's Grip will lock down Dyrachyo, but he's going to be fine to just get out of it and go back into the fight. There's your Guardian Angel now back onto Dyrachyo. He's still trying to go with Devi Lama, though Devi is just walking away. Meanwhile, K1 has died to Quinn. He's basically jumping in alone there on the Alchemist against 4 heroes, as Dyrachyo just held everybody else back. And now Devi Lama in massive trouble, actually takes down Ace with him. Devi still walking away. Dyrachyo unable to finish the job off, so he'll turn on to Analog, though Analog will chain out of there. But Dyrachyo right by his side. Is this a smart idea, Dyrachyo? He's about to melt himself, forced to walk away now on the Bristle, but here comes the Violama. They're having a look for the Bristleback again, though Dyrachyo turning around back on Analog with the Bushwhack. They'll take down the Timber. Devi, he'll find Quinn meanwhile on the backside. They'll take down the Sniper. Devi Lama still trying, will walk back towards the north, avoiding Dyrachyo. The Dyrachyo having his way with him for now on the Bristle. But we'll have to walk away again. Here comes the Violama another time with the split out. Dyrachyo trying again now with the Bristleback onto Devi, but he'll onslaught away. He'll be fine as the Fiends group will lock down Dyrachyo, but he's still fine throughout all of this. Looking back towards KJ, and now KJ, he'll have to back his way out. On a Schofield they'll go, but the Yule Scepter gonna buy him some spaces. Now Dyrachyo, has he waited too long? He certainly has. They've taken down Dyrachyo. They've got Celery. The Witch Doctor to drop. Devi Lama just making infinite space from the Primal Beast. Will find a double kill. They've even found Tofu. Though Tofu will be able to just scurry away by the looks of it. But my goodness, what an extended team fight here from Devi Lama as he keeps going. He wants Tofu now. But he's not going to be able to keep up with them, so instead he'll just taunt them as they run.
And that fight looked like such a good opening for Gaimin. It felt like Analog and Devi were focusing on Dyrachyo, isolating out Hector to be fed to the wolves there of the rest of Gaimin. But Gaimin overstayed their welcome. They're fighting into a Primal Beast with heart, with such fast regen on hand. And again, no healing reduction out from Gaimin. So Devi is just free to get a fast reset, come back in, and just reset. Another set of racks being pierced here.
Oh, Quinn. Devi Lama. He's got no fear, this man. Forcing the BKB out already here from the Sniper. He'll get the smash on to Ace. Ace getting Fiend Script as well here by KJ. Just completely locked down and completely destroyed. This is why you love to see a player like Devi Lama on a team like this. This man is just so aggressive.
That he is. Like, he knows the limits of his hero. He knows how far he can go with that Primal Beast.
Pretty long TP for Devi. He'll have it cancelled. He's actually completely on his own, but I don't believe Gaimin are quite confident they can deal with the guy at the moment.
Not just yet. Heroic opening up the map in a big way. 2 racks is up. They've got a sizable advantage of 26k now, and that is shared across all of the cores. Devi, Analog, and Hector all on top. And they're in a good position to look for the endgame. Roshan is up. They could look to secure that position down bot, and they are. They've got the Watcher controlled up. They've got their wards. At least the Sentry to set up. Check for vision. And they will get themselves a nice rush with the banner and a refresh shard on hand. Not going to take too long with the damage already on Hector as well. They're going to be able to take one more tool. And Gaimin feels like one fight away. Just, it's so tough. They have to kind of play in the same way that we were talking about how you play up against Bristle. Instead of ignoring Bristleback for Gaimin, they have to try to ignore Devi, but it's near impossible with how much Devi can do in the middle of these fights. Like, you can't stun up the guy because he's got the 25 talent that cannot be rooted or slowed with trample instead of the pulverized duration. So the Gleipnir backup doesn't work. He has the BKBs, so your Cask and your Bushwhack just don't do anything to him. And just gives so much room for him to jump around, trample off, get constant uproar breaks going, make the game so uncomfy for Dyrachyo. And Gaimin, this high ground has not worked out the way they'd expect it to. It doesn't feel like Twin has as much damage as you'd want to have a Sniper to at this point. All of their damage is tied into Dyrachyo and Ace. The Sniper feels like an afterthought.
It certainly does, and they are certainly falling apart here, Gaimin Gladiators, during this game number 1. It seems as though now Heroic looking to try and make their move onto the high ground once again, looking for the Megas. Just how do you stop them with an Aegis up? It looks just impossible. They're going to try. Ace will try to move on to Schofield. Schofield going to be fine as Devi Lama trying to burst down Celery straight off the bat, but will need to walk away. Voodoo Switcheroo will buy Celery the space he needs. Still K1 and Analog just trying to burst down the racks. going right after the Megas, and they might just have it. Megas are now officially up for Heroic as in comes Divine Llama right into 3 heroes, finding Quinn, though he is completely on his own. Devi's been left. Here comes Analog trying to help out. It's all too late though. Devi's out of there. Analog now the one being left alone. He does have the Aegis up, mind you, but he will lose his first life. Meanwhile, Dyrachyo being chased down here by the Primal. But it seems though Heroic, realizing they have overstayed their welcome, will need to leave for now as Analog trying to find his own way out. Heroic are still sticking around. Devi's going to move back in. He'll get knocked back by Dyrachyo. Meanwhile though, and the Analog has not died yet on the Tim. Analog is perfectly fine as they'll pop the Death Ward. Dyrachyo just melting as Quinn is gone. Quinn is just destroyed by Divine Llama. Pulverized out into Celery. Celery trying to run, will make it out for now. Divine Llama dropping low himself, but he's just such a tanky target. Can they actually deal with him? Divine finally going down. They've got him. But Mega Creeps are in cup.
Oh, yeah. It's a tough game for Gaimin at this point. Heroic in a very good position now to look for that end game scenario for themselves. Let's see if they can start to clean up off the back of next Roshan. Gaimin, not many tools left. Bought out on Quinn, and the sniper just so susceptible to that chase down from that primal beast. Divine Llama just getting that isolation in perfect play. They allow Dyrachyo to just run out, overextend, which means he can't back them up to try to deal with a primal beast up front. And it does feel like it's harder to ignore the primal beast than it is to ignore the bristleback in this game so far. At the very least, that's the way Devi's making it feel right now for the side of Gaimin. And side of Heroic, I mean, this is a fantastic game coming out from them. It felt like, again, the early game was a little bit slower. You know, they weren't getting as much as you'd want out for Hector for a while. The Alchemist wasn't scaling up as quickly, but it felt like Gaimin as well just didn't manage to capitalize on that early timing from Dyrachyo. They played the game pretty slow on top, and then it was really that team fight over at mid, right around that cliff area where they had a ward just overly clumped and leads into this scenario here.
Yeah, meanwhile, the Tofu has been caught here by KJ. KJ just going to lock him down with the Nightmare actually doing so much damage to the Bane now. Then Tofu, of course, just does get shredded here by Analog. No problems for the side of Heroic. By the way, the Aghanim Scepter was also given to Schofield now. So practically everyone has the Axe upgrade.
Yes.
You do get to see that that Shadow Realm right click coming in. And that is going to be just a bit of extra salt in the wound here for Gaimin, I think.
That it will be. Yeah, mind you, again, you don't quite have the attack speed here just yet in Schofield. He is going for the Silver Edge. That does give a decent chunk, although not much more than what the Shadow Blade already provides. Still, it's just more tools. You know, at the end of the day, maybe even just 3 hits on the Ancient or the Tier 4s. Like, that's really the name of the game now for Heroic. Just force out the final tools, the final bits and pieces to clean up this game. Gaimin, of course, will not take it lying down. Still have a fight lined up for themselves here.
Dyrachyo forced the Wind Waker out of there for now. Meanwhile, Divine Llama jumping Quinn again. Quinn going to be okay with the repel from Ace. Keep in mind, Quinn does not have buyback. He did have to use them in that last engagement, so no buyback available for the sniper. Dyrachyo actually has no gold for buyback either, as he did purchase out the Wind Waker. Devi going to jump in, but the Wind Waker again from Dyrachyo going to allow him to get away from that Primal Beast. It was very important Gaimin at least buy themselves the time to have those buybacks available for their side. The Heroic, they control the whole map, so they're not going to rush this. They'll go ahead, get back to the farm game. Of course, Roshan still about 2.5 minutes away till we even find out when it is going to respawn. So you've got plenty of time for Heroic to just extend the net worth lead even further, though it is currently sitting at 29k, but they can make it even worse for Gaimin. And Gaimin, of course, they are just completely trapped in their base.
Yeah, they're stuck. No way out. No way to try to contest Roshan. Even just try to farm their camps. And for Heroic, I mean, again, it's just a matter of finding the last bits and pieces to look for that high ground. Wait for Roche. If you find a pick-off, should lead into that high ground play. But again, no one's going to be dipping out anytime soon. Take control over the Wisdom Rune area. Devi will pick it up for his team. And everything's lined up for Heroic. I mean, what more could you possibly ask for in terms of itemization? You've got a refresh lined up here for Hector. Scepter. He has the recipe in his backpack. Going for Travels 2 as well to work the map. You've got one more Wind Waker coming out from Gaimin. So you've got some save and tofu. That's going to be a big tool, actually. Like, if you can manage to bail out the Racho, Ace, or Quinn, you can kind of look to turn around once the first usage of Fiend's Grip is gone. That will give you a window where you could try to play, or even just try to isolate out the Vi before you can try to retreat. So you have some things here from Gaimin to make high ground hellish. We'll see if that's going to be enough. Again, Roshan is pretty much set for Heroic. No easy way for Gaimin to reach out now. And for Heroic's part, I mean, they literally have everything. I love it. Like, 4 Ags buffs on Hector, free 100 damage, 20% spell amp, and that little unstable concoction hits that much harder, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, they're looking for a fight, Heroic. They've smoked up as 5. Nobody from Gaimin are outside of that base. They are all hugging the Ancient as we speak. You can't quite blame them for that. Heroic though, they might just jump in. Quinn is actually pretty far forward. Smoke will be broken, and in goes the Vi. He's already found the sniper. Quinn is gone. Quinn is just absolutely deleted. They would at least save Ace from the Fiend's Grip with the Wind Waker of Duraccio, but they're missing their sniper. They're still going to try and fight one last time as K1's actually just onto the T4 towers. Just ignore the Bristleback, go for the objectives. Who the hell cares about the fight? There goes one. K1 just literally ignoring him, going for a second tier 4. Onto the Ancient he goes. What are you meant to do about this? Duraccio is trying his best to get the attention of Heroic, but they are still just completely avoiding and ignoring him. Analog in the meantime holding everyone else back in the fountain. Duraccio now back in onto K1 as the chemical rage has worn off. Here comes the Violama though, breaking him up. Just look at the damage. This Bristleback trying to get away, but the Fiend's Grip once again will lock him down. No follow-up to it. They just don't care. They want the Ancient. They don't actually want the fight. Schofield still focusing the Ancient down. So will Analog, and this game is over. There is no defending. No defending whatsoever for Gaimin Gladiators as Heroic.
Scaled super well. They've got lanes that kind of deal with all of Gaimin's lanes really nicely as well. Maybe the one question mark's the mid. Yeah, it's another Bristleback here.
What does this mean?
That's the sound of her Bristleback. What do you mean? That's exactly the sound of her Bristleback here.
This feels very North American right here. I feel very country right now. Very nice. I'm cat jamming as we speak, Jonathan.
I'm just jamming out, you know. I'm standing up through the floorboards, Mike. I'm enjoying the beat.
Oh, bottom. You might have a team fighter break out. Yeehaw indeed, John. Gaimin. Oh, Quinn is going to be spotted here by Schofield. Disposes there. Quinn, he'll go for the shield crash to try and get away. A complete chaotic team fight to break out as K1. K1 is down. Tofu to secure 1. Analog getting low. Analog taking a lot of heroes with him though, but he is going to drop to boot. As now KJ looking to clean up though. KJ might melt, but no. Duraccio and Quinn, they will drop. Ace in trouble now to Schofield and KJ. Just the 2v1 scenario. Can they get the kill onto the Brewmaster? The Violama's gone. Ace is gone. Tofu now coming after KJ. Schofield's around as well. Who's going to die? It seems like it's probably KJ, but Schofield disposed to try and get him away, but it won't work out. 4-3, Gaimin Gladiators come out on top.
It does work out. That is quite a messy engagement. And I mean, Heroic, I get the confidence. I love the confidence coming out there. The Vi forced to go for the plastic field just to get a little bit of damage onto everyone instead of the Link as well. So it doesn't have that great presence with everyone just clumped together. And what a mess. What a great way to start for the side of Gaimin Gladiators, finding that first kill on their end. And granted, first blood bonus going to Tofu is not the best, but you do get a good smattering of gold onto everyone else. And does lead into this lane, watching Analog up against Quinn. Of course, Quinn, because of all those kills, does have a little bit more going into that level 2. Will have a little bit of an advantage in terms of playing poke. Again, even poking down bot, you're not done with having fun here. And that early threat of the Vi with the magic damage and the threat of dispose is pretty damn strong with Schofield around. we'll have to watch yourself. Level 2s are coming up faster because of all those kills, so some early level spikes lining up here. So
looking to go down, and he will. And K1 able to just chase him down here along with KJ, and they do secure a nice kill onto the Rubik. Meanwhile, bottom lane, the action just continues as Celery is now gone. Schofield hitting the level 2 mark and setting up perfectly. In fact, Schofield hitting level 2 before Divine Llama does.
Yeah, because he lived through that fight, Mike. You know, all of that EXP that they found back on Heroic goes in, and again, it's that timing. It's this reach you have with the Marcy. It's that synergy you have with the slow and the stun to lead into the static link. And the side of Gaimin, again, this bot lane's probably their more passive lane is Deracho.
Derachio. Yeah, he's getting out of there though. Celery will be there in time with the disruption to ensure that Divine Llama could not continue the chase. But it is a pretty challenging lane here for Derachio. I mean, he does have the defense here from Celery, but it does feel like you are going to have to be pretty cautious when trying to CS in this bottom lane.
Yes, you will have to be. Again, just going to have to try to play around your side blade, maybe the refraction, although it will melt just from having the static link up later on. Just some easy right clicks eventually will melt that down. Still, after a bit of a disastrous, start here for Heroic, they're coming out of these lanes pretty all right. They have a decent enough time coming out here for Hector up top. You're having a great old time for Analog on mid, which again, we have seen it work out for the Primal Beast. It is still not too bad for Quinn. He has way more in resources with HP, but Analog is making it a little bit harder for Quinn to kind of pick and choose, although he will have his opening now. He'll even it out just a little bit more. Wondering how big rune control is going to be for both sides. It does feel like both are mobile enough to just get the water rune each. Power rune's going to be an interesting contest, depending on how well the side lanes free up. It feels like you should be able to leave your lanes on Heroic easier, though. Like, with your heroes, there shouldn't be a kill threat if these guys are left alone, so that will give some room for Heroic to get some play across the map if need be.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Such an action-packed game already here in this game number 2. It's like, got a bit of an onslaught here from Analog, trying to head towards the boundary rune, and does manage to pick it up. Quinn is having a pretty good time in the mid lane. I mean, pretty much even with the Primal Beast, but he's getting a lot of harassment off onto the Primal, making it a little bit awkward for Analog to stick around here against the Pangolier, but it seems like Analog going to be just fine with that bottle refill to keep going up until that 4-minute mark where he can pick up some water runes.
And again, Quinn does have a little bit of an edge still in the EXP department off the back of all of those early fights, so has a little bit of an earlier 6 lined up for himself, which could lead to some nice rotations coming out here for the side of Gaimin. Not quite yet, just focusing on those lanes, getting as much as they can. And catch them.
Big danger here, K1 is actually going to drop. Ace able to secure a kill now on the Brewmaster. And it is still a Brewmaster Rubik lane, so that's Cinder Brew at level 2 plus the level 2 Fade Bolt. It does a lot of damage. Of course, Ace now has the completed Earn Up. He would have loved it about 5 seconds ago where he could have gotten 2 charges for himself, but nevertheless, he does have it now available, and I'm sure they could probably find a kill onto KJ to get those initial charges going.
Yeah, you have to be so careful with your positioning. Again, you can't underestimate just how much that Cinder Brew does. Hector again, already losing quite a fair bit of HP every single time that combination is there. Very easy way to ignite with Fade Bolts, of course. And there's not much KJ can really do to stop it. Like, he can glimpse one back. That'll just leave an opportunity for the chase down for either or afterwards. And still 5-5 Gaimin. Again, coming out to the lanes pretty smoothly. Getting a lot of farm on Quinn and Ace. They are suffering on Deracho, though. They are trading that away for the TA safe lane. Gonna have to get some room out to get some farm space. At the least, the saves from Celery are mitigating what could be a far worse lane than it should be. So Devi isn't able to really capitalize on his static link at all. But you can see the threat. Like, you can't actually dip out of this lane for Celery. You can't go around trying to stack some camps up. It is just going to be a little bit of a slower process for Deracho.
Tofu going to be brought back here by KJ with the clips. Tofu should just be dead. He'll try to Fairy Fire up and actually has a Healing Lotus available.
Good block.
Does barely make it out. The blocks, of course, from Ace, not allowing K1 to close the gap with the Cruel Spray. So he is actually going to be just fine here on the Rubik. Completely out of regen, though, so might have to go for a reset. It seems like finally K1 can start to establish a bit of dominance up at this top lane himself, though Ace is still trying to apply a hell of a lot of pressure with that Cinder Brew. Meanwhile, Quinn getting unlucky with the power rune. It does spawn bottom, and it is going to be a nice regen rune now for Analog.
From the tempest of battle.
And not the biggest rune to lose out on, though. So at the very least, this aggressive rotation you're looking for from Heroic is not going to be as easy to pull off. There's also some really great defensive boards all over from the side of Gaimin. Just watching these angles where the Primal Beast will want to sneak around into each of these side lanes. They do manage to just keep themselves secure. Analog just forced to farm up. Has his level 6 at the least, so Pulverize is ready. But again, there's just no easy angles. These wards are so hard to spot early on. That should allow Gaimin to just dance around, stall for time, and keep trying to work these lanes. Keep trying to work into those initial farm points that you really need in this lineup. That is the one thing with this draft. On Gaimin's end, their mid-game tempo is a little bit reliant on some early item spikes. Like, you're not going to feel that strong in Quinn until that full diffusal's up. You're going to want to have at least the Spirit Vessel up on Ace.
Oh, Tofu, he'll deny off the Wisdom Rune himself. KJ was trying to do the exact same thing anyway, so both supports just trying to deny it away from each other, but it's definitely going to be a pretty big win here for Heroic, as they do still manage to pick up their own Wisdom Rune. KJ going to try for the TP play out. Oh, he's going to make it too. The Raindrop will save his life, as the Fade Bolt just did not quite have enough damage.
Yeah. And that does force out the Blood Grenade as well. So I like that little play coming out from KJ. Just trying to stall out in the TP just to get some resources expended. Aracho, not safe here without any save, but not quite enough damage as well.
He will be okay this time around, but they have put a pretty good lid on the farm of Duraccio. He is currently sitting in third. The thing is, it is still a TA, so you're just going to rotate to the jungle and escalate and farm that way. It's not like you've really lost too much, as K1 might be losing his own life here top lane, and he's gone. Ace just continually chasing him down, making sure he could not get away, and with the presence of Celery and Tofu, it was a nice easy pickoff.
Nice easy kill. Didn't have to commit anything like the split, just the chase down. With the urn up, not even a full Spirit Vessel yet. That is already flying out here for Ace. Top lane has been hurting for the side of Heroic. Maybe not in terms of CS, but certainly in terms of pressure, the side of Gaimin are applying it very hard onto that Bristol back lane. This timing for the Axe now for K1 is going to be a little bit slower than you might want it to be. They will find Ace and Punishment at the very least with a Pulverize.
Massive pick off there. I mean, Ace was causing a lot of headaches up at top lane, so Analog with the rotation going to buy some breathing room now for K1. That's a pretty big pick off. I feel like the Brewmaster was the one hero that was just getting away with a bit too much. Quinn being harassed by KJ, and Schofield does also show up, but of course they understand as the support duo, they can't really do too much about the Pangoli.
No, it is still pretty hard to pin him down. They know the Rolling Thunder is still there. And Analog is going to be able to onslaught away. Just a little bit out of range there for the lift back on the telekinesis. But they have managed to even the game, or at least keep the game even here on the side of Heroic. Again, very slight lead coming on from Gaimin. Just coming out to how well they've been working these lanes despite the aggression coming through from Heroic. Looking to dive for Celery though.
They are going to give it a crack. Celery going to be all right. Quinn's going to try and move in now into Schofield. Oh, actually gets taken out of there. So Quinn not going to be around now, as they will dive Duraccio here on the TA, and Duraccio, oh, he kind of stuck around after Quinn got glimpsed back to the T1 mid tower. Still surviving for now, but Analog's on the chase. They've got another glimpse back here on Duraccio. But they missed the rebound. They don't get the stun on the TA, and well, that means Duraccio, he'll actually make it out.
It's a lot of time and energy committed from the side of Heroic to get that done. Even a rotation out from Analog just not panning out. Looks like someone left Screen Shake on, so some setting changes to be made. But
yeah,
this is
so many
pretty
today, John.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the screen shaking is the game setting or the table shaking the Vi. You know.
I think you might have a point, John. I think you may have a point.
I love the Vi Llama. Best voice lines in the game that you absolutely hate.
Yeah. I'll have a chat with him when we see him one day at a LAN, John.
Yeah, I'll tell him to throat sing for you right in front. No. He's gonna do it for you.
No,
yes, he will.
No, he won't.
Well, he won't maybe because he you know, you're not friends enough with him. He'd do it for me. I'd listen. I like singing Devi. Hopefully you're not hearing this. You shouldn't be hearing this as they will smoke up on the side of Gaimin. See if they can connect anywhere. Instantly broken by Schofield out. So a very good position to just break some of that movement out. But they are sneaking across up top. Hector is still trying to get some space out. Mind you, he is 2 parts into the Ags and is getting some decent room out. If they can plant some forward wards here in game, they can try to set up.
Well, Tope's going to take a lot of farm away from K1. Just being annoying here on the Rubik.
Dire's top tower.
K1, it will just kind of move down south to the other side of the jungle. Just play it safe. Does not want a bar of that support duo plus the Brewmaster, of course, as Ace has already found the top tier 1 tower now. Bottom lane, I mean, there is a bit of a group up once again around Dyrachyo, but Dyrachyo currently just hanging by the tier 1 tower. Should be relatively safe. The Heroic are slowly setting up. 3 traps placed here by Dyrachyo preemptively as they do jump in with Schofield now. Dyrachyo does get dusted up through the meld. Schofield may just go down immediately, though Devi Llama stealing a lot of damage away, but it doesn't make a difference because they don't have the follow-up. Ace is here now. That'll mean KJ does get chased down and just destroyed by Dyrachyo. And sadly for Heroic, they get nothing out of their trouble. Well, Analog even mid lane in trouble. Lifted up by Tofu, mid onslaught, not able to get away. Analog, he is certainly just dead.
Yeah, they find everything on Gaimin's end. Again, all of this focus down bot, just not panning out for the side of Heroic. The only thing they're getting now is really just space for Hector. That's the only upside right now. Everything else is just on a falling flat. Like, you are starting to lag behind now on Analog. He is trying to rush the BKB to have some presence. Divide Llama going into the Manta. It just feels like you need so much more, especially on the Razor. And even from the offlane, does need quite a lot. They're getting some of their camp stolen away here by Ace and Celery off the back of taking that mid-tier 1. Some of that jungle invasion, the triangle invasion starts to kick in. You've got the diffusal timing up for Quinn. So he's feeling really strong. They get the scan, but there's no way they can contest these stacks. They are not set up for it. You're not ready to join in on Hector just yet. They will have Unleash off in a short moment, I suppose, but this does not feel safe for Heroic.
Oh, Schofield and Devi Llama, I mean, they're still around the area, so Gaimin kind of hoping they walk uphill. Eventually they will move to the low ground. Schofield will narrowly avoid the gank attempt that was incoming here from Gaimin Gladiators.
Let it catch you.
And all this has bought enough time now for Dyrachyo to have the full blink completed. Going to the Dislator up next on the TA. Meanwhile, K1 will get spotted here by Ace. There's your Cinder Brew into the Spirit Vessel, and K1, of course, is just melting to the damage output. They will try to help him out with the Static Storm, but K1, he is still just going down. Still, they'll try to at least go after Dyrachyo, but Dyrachyo is just perfectly fine. It's the K1, he will drop. There goes Schofield. It's not looking great here for the side of Heroic as they just continuously get chased up. KJ going down to boot. That's already 3 gone for Heroic. Quinn makes it out of all that as well, by the way, on the Pango, just not even close to going down. As Gaimin looking a hell of a lot better for this game too.
Yeah, just everything's falling flat for Heroic. They lose the Courier of Hector in the middle of that fight. That's the full Ags gone for a minute, which is not the best feeling in the world here for Hector. A minute down where some of that farm could be a lot quicker. You could try to stack up. Devi's not safe.
By Llama. A bit of danger. Quinn, the Rolling Thunder, will be able to lock him down. Takes the Courier out with him, and Devi. He does still a lot of damage away from Quinn, but it doesn't really make the difference as Quinn will secure his life with the Swashbuckle. And even Dyrachyo now finding Schofield across the map.
Yeah. Again, there's just not as much plays you'd like here for the side of Heroic. It coming out from those lanes, it felt like you wanted to really get a little bit more out with the aggression. Celery just made bot lane aggression near impossible, all of the disruption saves, and they kept committing so hard onto Dyrachyo. They couldn't really go in for saves onto Hector either, so can get the assisted forward vision from the side of Gaimin, just providing all of this info as well to allow them to play across the map so nicely. Look at these nice wards in that top jungle, right behind the tier 2 and above the tier 2. Just giving all the info you'd want to keep that hunting game going. And like you mentioned, you know, they're hitting critical mass on Dyrachyo. Blink Dragonlance, 1 Mithril Hammer away from the full Deso. That's going to be a team fight into Roche. and there's not going to be much to really contest there from the side of Heroic. And they have some good rundown potential. They've got some AoE hold with KJ, but it's just dead.
Certainly is. KJ not able to survive. It's Gaimin absolutely rushing the side of Heroic, now finding K1. Can they get the disruption? No. Celery not quite able to make it in time. They could look towards Analog, who has shown on a creep wave with the Pulverize already being committed. They'll glyph up the wave to ensure he can't even get that. Analog, he will at least be able to run away, though. Mid lane, Schofield, I can't really say the same for him. He'll rebound, but the lift is there. Mid bounce from Tofu and the rebound from the roof. Very, very nice. Top lane, Analog in trouble again. He'll clear out the creep wave, but it's going to cost his life. It's just not worth it.
No. I mean, it does fall out on the top tier 2 push, but you need some space to farm up. You need some of that farm to pour in. It is still, I guess, overall a gain for Analog. Still lacking just about 700 gold for that full BKB. I just don't know where the play comes in for Heroic. Like, how do you take control of these team fights? It feels like it has to be a rush forward, a good Pulverize with a static storm on, isolating a couple of heroes here, and all of that's easier said than done. And they've not been able to take care of the vision game as well from Gaimin. So much coverage up top. They've got some coverage down bot too. Sentry ward from KJ just falls a little bit short. The laning ward still there. Tier 2 still being shoved in by Dota2. No real concern at all. TA knows it's going to be really hard to try to kill her off as long as Celery's around. And just take a tier 2. No contest from the side of Heroic. And Heroic, they need to play around with at least the Voodoo Mask and Hector along with that BKB of Analog. They'll try before that though. Smoke out here.
Schofield getting caught. Schofield is down. I mean, it just happens that... Oh! Schofield will buy back. Schofield, they're moving in. They're going for the fight. I don't know about this one here from Heroic, but they're going to give it a crack. They have found themselves a Shadow Demon, so there goes Celery, but they've lost KJ immediately. He'll buy back. Here comes K1. The chase is on for Dyrachio. The rest of GG just backing off for now. Dyrachio just melding, holding his position. Does finally go down. So Heroic, they've found themselves some pretty good targets. Can they punish more though? The chase is on for Quinn. Quinn looking in danger, does swashbuckle, but the onslaught does connect as they will rebound to try and help Quinn out of there. But here comes KJ with the glimpse available. He'll drag him back into the static storm. And Quinn, he will go down. It seems as though the buybacks committed from Heroic, they are going to pay off.
It does pay off in a pretty big way. Very important kills for them to find. Still Ace.
Now Ace now looking to turn once again. K1 in danger. Analog will try to hold back the spirits. Tries to onslaught away as well, but does get stopped midway. And it seems though Analog is going to have to give his life away for this. So he's still running, but it's not quite enough. The kinetic field will not save as now they'll jump back in onto Celery, trying to burst down the Shadow Demon, but he's got the disruption. He'll use it on the Razor. Meanwhile, KJ will buy back on the, or rather die back on the disruptor. As Ace is chasing for more. Looking for Schofield to get the glimpse back with the vision. Schofield is gone. Gaimin, they are unrelenting this game too.
I mean, again, for Heroic, that initial fight, it was massive. They managed to isolate out these heroes, getting chased down on Schofield. He buys back because there's smoke right behind. And it feels like Gaimin should have been able to get away. I think the big thing there was Dyrachio was way too far forward, trying to chase in, and does get punished severely. I think without that TA kill, those sequence of events would have fallen apart. So it all stems from Dyrachio trying to join his team after the fact, after that pickoff, after the buybacks, and it does provide opportunities for Heroic. Heroic still, though, I mean, it's early in the game, respawns are short, chased right by a tier 1, and then Gaimin are just set to go, you know? Ace still had a split, was still set to go, has a Radiance from all the space he's been given, and just has a lot of chase potential here. Bristleback, despite having Yags, isn't quite the most durable just yet, so we'll still have to watch. Did go for the Lotus Orb first over a Voodoo Mask, although should have that soon. Next, Gaimin still set to go. Full Ags now on Celery, so has 2 charges of the Demonic Purge on hand. We'll try to smoke out with Quinn. Again, still have that aggressive forward vision right in front of tier 3 right now. Can try to look and punish. It is only Divide there, though.
KJ completely annihilated here by Dyrachyo as K1 still trying to put the Tormentor, does barely get away with it. We Schofield picking up a free shards. Meanwhile, top lane though, Divine Llama destroyed. Gaimin Gladiators, again, unrelenting as now mid lane. They're looking towards Analog. Analog will try to get away, but he's already committed the onslaught. All the purges there from Quinn. Analog slowed up, trying to get out, almost out of mana. Pops the BKB, but it doesn't matter. Just how do you come back from a game like this? I mean, they are just being smothered by game.
And that they are. Side of Heroic. I mean, again, it just kind of stems from the laning phase. These heroes needed to crush their lanes as hard as possible, but that just didn't happen from Heroic. The saves down bot from Celery, the aggression from Ace and Tofu up top with easy Cinderbrew plays. They will isolate Tofu.
They will for now. Problem is Ace is right behind him. They will take Tofu down now.
Oh,
it seems like K1 well and truly out of position. He is down. On to more. They found Schofield in the back, right in the tire base. Schofield has gone, and so is KJ. Meanwhile, Divide getting dived by Dyrachyo. They'll onslaught forward, but they cannot really commit. Divine Llama just has to get back towards the fountain. Meanwhile, Gaimin Gladiators onto the tier 2 bottom tower. Just going right past all the towers for the fight. Understanding how powerful they really are.
Out there, that they do. I mean, the Bristol back pick felt good, but I guess we all forgot Demonic Purge does break. And once you have the Yags, and good God, it feels impossible now to play this Bristol into the Shadow Demon. Like, you're going to need a Linken's. Does have Lotus, but Lotus is not it. Please save from that. And it just makes it so simple to control up Hector again.
K1? Just Ace is doing too much. Ace on the Brewmaster, I mean, he is just an absolute menace here against K1. Heroic, they are going to just meet up bottom, see if they can at least find Celery. The Celery disruption will be there to try and allow himself an escape, but he will get glimpsed back. So Celery is down, but here comes Game. They've got Dyrachyo around the corner, though it seems that that's about all they've got right now. Dyrachyo does actually have a double damage room bottled up, but obviously will not jump in on his own. Thankfully.
No. Let's play it safe, play it patiently. No real need to go that far and punish. Could just look for Roshan instead, and he will. Pop the amp damage into Roche. Not going to take too long for the side of Gaimin to clean this up. I mean, it's really... A lot of these things are coming off because of Ace and Celery. Like this early Ags again with the break. It's just ruining the game for Hector. Heck, it's going to ruin the game for Analog as well. Like that slow means you're not going to be able to trample around and do the damage you'd want to. And it's just kind of nightmarish for these two heroes. Heck, even like anyone. Like it's Hector +1. And the +1 just won't have a great time. None of these heroes will up against that Ags upgraded Demonic Purge. Aegis goes the way of Quinn. He's set to go. And he's got his own Ags up. 15k lead for the side of Gaimin. And for the side of Heroic, I'm not sure what you're going to have to look for. K1 is trying to get, looks to be a Halberd. The status resist is pretty nice to at least try to shorten down that Demonic Purge just a little bit. Already has the Voodoo Mask as well. Schofield
does get the rebound away. Schofield desperately still trying for that BKB timing, but it's well and truly gone now as Ace gonna find him. That'll be Yamasi down. Gaimin taking no chances. Tofu does get caught in the mid lane. To try and burst him down, but Quinn's popped the Rolling Thunder, and Tofu's actually still alive. Finally will drop after the Yule Scepter. Ace, he's going to pop the split. No, in fact, he is not. Does get glimpsed back to the top lane, so can't actually split through the glimpse. Not in time anyway. We'll game it. They will lose Tofu.
Again, any pick-off is good right now for Heroic. That's an 800 gold swing their way off the back of that one kill, despite trading Schofield away. You're still in a very happy spot to find something for yourself here. It's not enough to really tie away the steps to just yet.
That's a lot of damage from Quinn. Analog, he'll barely be able to get out. I can't say the same for KJ. TP away though. He's fine. They did not have the vision for the disruption there from Celery.
Radiant's
But Quinn just casually jumps into 2 and takes both their HPs down. Like half HP gone in an instant.
Yeah. And it's the Pango with Diffusal. Just hurts so much. Did you mention this type of pretty nice career with a Manta up for the Vi? That's something he's been farming pretty much the entire game along with that BKB. So he's going to be down for that. But at least has a way of TPing out and has control in the bot jungle. So he can keep farming. Dota2 is fairly isolated here. He's still slippery with a blink. Not the easiest here to pin down. Still, Heroic are showing a few signs of life, but Gaimin are still on the aggressive. They'll go for another smoke out here.
I mean, why the hell not? There's just no need to slow down when you know how potent you are at the moment as K1. Oh, poor old K1 has been left behind in his own jungle. They are trying to make their way to him, but I think they've kind of given up. They know K1's dead. They'll push out a creep wave at top lane with Analog, and that's going to be about it. They'll just accept the fact they've lost their carry once again. And for Gaimin Gladiators, it might be time to start looking at that mid-tier 2 tower. You know, you've got a Deso up on the TA. You can definitely take it out very, very fast. And that's exactly what they're intending on doing, it seems.
Yeah, nothing to hold them back here on the side of Gaimin. Again, the teamfight ideas for Heroic are pretty hard to pull off in this kind of game state. Again, with a BKB on Analog, it does make it a little bit easier. He has the blink to get that position just right to find the right target for the Pulverize. Ace on the chase.
Well, the team's back. They have lost Ace, but Quinn still going on his own. Does get into the roll-up. We'll try to roll away from Divide, though. He's taking a lot of damage here. Quinn is going to lose the Aegis. That's a first life. Heroic, do you want to reinitiate? The answer seems to be no. They are going to allow them to just get out of there. Do I say that Dyrachyo, he's going to find Analog in just a second. Does go for the trap. Analog is actually perfectly fine to just walk back uphill. Not taking too much damage. Meanwhile, Ace looking at K1 up at top lane. We'll find him with the Cinder Brew. But doesn't really have the help around him this time to fully commit for K1, so we'll just let him walk away.
Yep. Try to reconnect his team. Do you see Schofield? I saw Schofield a little bit, but doesn't fully spot out. So Marcy does dip out. I think, all things considered, Heroic are doing a decent enough job of holding back the side of Gaimin from the high ground. Right? They haven't been able to utilize that earlier Aegis to really look into poking down the high ground with the power of their TA. They still have control of the map on the side of Gaimin. And, you know, you still have a 20k advantage overall. So Heroic still has a lot of catching up to do, but they are stalling for time quite well, at the least.
Jump is out. They've got the Primal slowed down here with the Demonic Purge. And Log's still okay to back off them. But this is going to be the hard part, right, for Gaimin. Like, not throwing the game while trying to approach high ground. Obviously is going to be the big challenge for practically any team. They have spotted K1 up at that top lane, so the immediate TPs are there, just trying to rush towards the Bristleback. They'll get the scan as well, so they know exactly which camp K1 was farming. But can they cancel his TP in time? No, they cannot. K1, Spidey Sense of Tingling, does manage to get his way out in time. Just so important this Bristleback does not die. It just continues the net worth growth, but oh, Gaimin, they just smoke up again. Running through the mid lane into that die triangle. They know he's across the map somewhere. Vision has been placed by Heroic, but it looks to get dewatered quite fast here by Gaimin. So they will get rid of it. And Heroic, it's just back to the die base for them.
Those Force Dolphins clump up. Again, good defensive wards this time from Heroic to kind of get a sense that something's wrong. I believe this Cliff Ward might have spotted someone on the edge of vision. And that's just all the information Hector needs.
Dyrachyo gonna make very, very short work of Schofield down at that bottom lane. Well, Quinn having a look at Analog up at top lane, but Analog gonna be okay to back off, and they will indeed actually scan out the Pango. So Analog does know to retreat back towards safety. Bottom lane, however, Divide Llama now being chased by Dyrachyo and Ace. The Divide still looking okay for now. Will be able to actually make his way out. Tofu unable to get the lift off in time. So, I mean, all things being said and done, even with the 21k advantage 30 minutes in, Heroic, they are still holding on. They have not given away any T3 towers quite yet. And as we know in this meta, it is very hard to approach high ground.
And it is. And again, Heroic's doing a great job with what little they have and just keeping this game alive for themselves. Again, Gaimin still has superior map control. They're 22k up, but they can't find an opportunity for a pick-off into high ground, and that's all that really matters. Don't give any openings out to Gaimin. Keep stalling for time. Try to get some slow but steady farm going for yourself. Like, there is still the Bloodstone timing here for Hector. You've got the full Shivas for Analog. A lot of physical protection as well from the burst that the Dota is trying to leverage here. So you do have still things to play with. Like, the full BKB is up for Schofield. Sure, the timing's pretty damn late, 31 minutes in. But it can still make a difference. It is only a level 2 Unleash, but there's some good damage that can flow here.
Look at K1 again. Down to that bottom lane, but he's got his whole team smoked on the eastern side of him at the moment. So it's a bit of a bait play here from K1 if Gaimin want to try and take it. A lot more confident now is the Bristleback. Gaimin Gladiators being quite hesitant. Oh, Dyrachyo though, he jumps in, but the jump is there now from the side of Heroic, trying to burst down the TA. He'll try to get out. Dyrachyo being glimpsed right back into the Static Storm. Still alive though. KJ has dropped, but so has Dyrachyo. They've got the TA down. There's no buyback available for that TA either. Analog in the meantime being controlled up here by Quinn. Looking pretty darn dead, unable to onslaught away, but K1 is still fighting. He'll go after Celery now. Celery dropping quite low himself, but they'll lose Schofield in the meantime as K1 now completely surrounded, in pretty big trouble. He'll pop the Bristleback, but it will not matter. It's still 4 down for the price of 1. You got Dyrachyo, but it's such a heavy cost.
That is way too heavy of a cost there for the side of Heroic. And that was off the back of Dyrachyo playing a little bit too aggressive himself. Just trying to jump in, thinking that would only be one that would show up, and does get punished severely for it. Still a little bit of a high ground opening, but without the TA, it's not going to be as quick as you'd want it to be. But there is enough time to safely get this done. We'll find mid. And they were slowly shoving at bot as well with Tofu, just to have the creep waves up. And we'll find our first racks for the side of Gaimin. It will stall, but slower respawn for K1 should be able to allow just that whatever Gaimin wants. They still have the split and ace as well.
Yeah, jump is out again. They found Analog here on the Primal Beast, and that's going to be a nice big target to get started here for the high ground attempt. There goes your mid-rack. Divine Llama now, a pretty big fitting duck because he's got his BKB on cooldown for another 1 second, and he is not going to be able to get it off in time. So Gaimin now going for... Just look at Quinn! Quinn is not done yet. He wants more. Setting up for another 2. Divine Llama's brought back. In fact, they've brought back on 3 of them. Trying to chase down this Pangolier. Quinn being chased here by Analog. We'll go for the Pulverize. But can they actually take down the Pango? I don't think they can. Quinn's still rolling away. He'll actually blink out of there. Meanwhile, K1's gone. Oh, boy. Still going. KJ's down. GG is cold. Gaimin. I mean, after that game one, I'll tell you what, John.